2022 National Tourism Debate Competition. We are celebrating our 13th year, and we're excited with the participation of the following 16 schools: Calabar High, Immaculate Conception, Glenmore High, Cornwall College, Holland High, Belair High, Charlemont High, Wolmer's Girls, Edwin Allen, Jamaica College, York Castle High, Decarteret College, Wolmer's Girls, Manning's High, Kingston College, and St. George's College. Let's have a round of applause, please. This year, we will be acknowledging our first, second, and third place winners, gold, silver, and bronze. This development would not have been possible without the generous support of our sponsors, to whom we are particularly grateful: the Tourism Enhancement Fund, Deja All-Inclusive Resorts, the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, Royalton Luxury Resort, Choco Caribbean, Coral Cliff Gaming Lounge, Margaritaville Group, Origin Juices, and Starbucks Jamaica. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware that this is a hybrid competition, so preliminaries and quarterfinals is online, but when we get face-to-face, you'll enjoy some Origin Juices and Starbucks giveaways. The 2022 National Tourism Debate is endorsed by the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and the JHTA. Our adjudicators this afternoon: Ms. Tamika Bryce, attorney at law; Dominique Shaw, who is representing the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and is also a director at the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce. We also have Ms. Nikisha Gray, a lecturer from the University of the West Indies here in Montego Bay and a chartered accountant. Our moot this afternoon: this house believes that social media has done more harm than good for the development of Jamaica's tourism product. Now that's an interesting motion. Proposing the moot is Decarteret College, and opposing the moot is Cornwall College. Our speakers are Decarteret College, Tiffany Simpson, Anika Spencer, Kimberly Griffiths, and that's first, second, and third speaker, and the reserve is Alea Blackwood. Cornwall College, Tequan Ellis, Matthew White, and Lingan Jackson. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And that's first, second, and third. The first speaker is allowed 7 minutes. Second, pardon?
Lingan Jackson.
I'm gonna ask Jadon to type your name in the chat. There seems to be a slight echo. So Jadon, if you could just type his name in the chat for us, please. The first speaker is allowed 7 minutes, second speaker 5 minutes, and third speaker 3 minutes, followed by a rebuttal, which will begin with the opposing team. The match will begin with our proposing team, Decarteret College. Can we spotlight Decarteret College, please? We will now proceed with our second match in the 2022 preliminaries of the National Tourism Debate. Thank you.
May I begin? May I begin?
Yes, you may begin. Please go ahead.
Chairman, judges, coaches, and opponents, good afternoon. The House believes that social media has done more harm than good for the development of Jamaica's tourism product. Before the House can expound on this notion, the key terms presented must be defined. The speaker will establish the parameters for using the following terms: social media, tourism product, economic development, and the term more harm than good. According to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, social media is defined as forms of electronic communication, such as websites for social networking and microblogging, through which users create online communities to share information, ideas, personal messages, and other content, such as videos. A more comprehensive definition of social media is given by the Digital Marketing Institute in their article, Social Media, What Countries Use It Most and What Are They Using It? Social media is a computer-based technology that facilitates the sharing of ideas, thoughts, and information through the building of virtual networks and communities. There are over 4.5 million social media users around the world, and they primarily occupy spaces on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and WhatsApp. A study was conducted in the United States by the Pew Research Center in 2018, where it was discovered that social media users tend to be younger. Nearly 90% of people between the ages of 18 and 19 use at least one social media platform. This is the primary target group for potential vacationers who would be attracted to much of Jamaica's tourism product. Further, these users tend to be better educated and relatively wealthy. I will now define the term tourism product. According to UNWTO, a tourism product is a combination of tangible and intangible elements such as natural, cultural, and man-made resources, along with facilities, attractions, services, and activities around a specific center of interest, which represents the core of the destination marketing mix and creates an overall visitor experience, including emotional aspects for potential customers. As stated by the California Association for Local Economic Development, CAL, the concept of economic development is the creation of wealth from which community benefits are realized. It is more than a job program. It is an investment in growing your economy and enhancing the prosperity and quality of life for all residents. The restated mood translated to suggest that using computer-based tools like WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok to enable people to share ideas and information has more detrimental effects on the potential for wealth creation from our natural, cultural, man-made resources, along with attractions, facilities, service, and activities designed for a complete visitor experience, such as rural tourism, food and drink, mountain tourism, sports tourism, and shopping tourism. The house does not mean to imply that Jamaica's tourism industry has been completely destroyed, but that social media has significant harm to our industry. The term harm refers to something that causes someone or something to be made less valuable. Emphasis on less valuable. Successful, while the good refers to having the required qualities of a high standard. It is crucial to remember that when something is destroyed, whatever once existed is now permanently eliminated. However, damage refers to harm caused to something which makes it less attractive, useful, or valuable. The mood allows for the rational and imminent deduction that social media as technology cannot do harm or good enough itself. The mood then allows us to appropriate the onus on its users. So we build the cogent argument that misusers of social media has caused more harm than good towards tourism products. Now, the opposition sits almost breathtaking in its feathers, asking how we can say that when social media is championed as the prime channel through which we can promote our tourism products. Stand down, my opponents. The mood argues for the already done negative effects caused by salacious and sensational stories that are spread through social media platforms. As the first speaker for the government, I will outline the examples of the petrolic veins of venom that are spewed daily to feed the information hungry and the aspects of our product which are being undermined, yes, eroded. The second speaker will graphically itemize the physical, economic, and psychological damage this has caused to our tourism product or brand Jamaica. Finally, our third speaker will reinforce the cornerstone of the government by repeating some of the underpinning of our arguments. Social media allows for individuals to express their views on a wide array of issues on a daily basis. A statement or post that is published in relation to the tourism product of Jamaica could tarnish that product and by extent cause significant damage to the tourism sector of brand Jamaica. It is important to note that human beings are wired to believe negative information in comparison to positive information. The phenomenon is known as the negative bias. According to an article posted by Very Well Minded, and I quote, the negative bias is our tendency to not only register negative stimuli more readily, but also to dwell on these events. These psychological effects are further emphasized with the widespread transaction of the story of Kalina Clare. Our tourism minister, the Honorable Edmund Bartlett, due to the threshold of negative comments and the massive fallout in the tourism sector, was forced to make a statement regarding this situation. Talicia Patrice White, an educator, spoke on how it was necessary for Jamaica to reinvent its tourism product due to the countless crime and multiple travel bans imposed from first world countries. Any element of reinvention has to stem from imminent damage, a point which my second speaker through her speech will solidify. I trust that my teammates will continue my eloquent delivery of the moves, allowing for judges to recognize the basis of our argument and the accuracy that follows. I thank you.
And we thank you. May we go over to Cornwall College. A reminder of our motion this afternoon. This House believes that social media has done more harm than good for the development of Jamaica's tourism product. We will now invite our first speaker, Cornwall College. You may go ahead.
Ask them how they want.
Okay. May I begin?
You can go ahead.
Panel and my fellow debaters, I bid you well. My name is Tequan Ellis, and as opposition, I firmly believe that social media has not done more harm than good for the development of Jamaica's tourism product. Firstly, we'd like to start by saying that we accept the definition of social media put forward by side proposition and move forward with our case. Side proposition has made some claims that were improperly warranted, such as the claim that humans are hardwired to give misinformation, but they did not have any warrants to back up this claim. Also, if there are to be any misusers of social media, they are definitely overshadowed by the over-exhuming efforts of the Tourism Board, TPDCO, and average Jamaicans that promote the positive aspects of the country. Now, under the provision of the motion, both sides of the House must understand that we are not here to debate whether or not social media has done any harm to the tourism product at all, but rather if it has done more harm than good to the tourism product of Jamaica, and the answer is simply no. In fact, I will prove to you it has done more good than harm. In my speech, I will be linking how social media has been advantageous to the development of the tourism product of Jamaica, why social media is so important to the tourism product, and inquire into some issues that side proposition left unclear. The second speaker will not only prove how the positive effects of social media on the product outweighs the negatives, but he will also add to how social media has benefited Jamaica's tourism product. And then my third speaker will resolve any clashes between the houses and present the true factors that lead to the deterioration of the tourism product. Now, social media refers to the means of interaction among people in which they can share or exchange information and ideas in a virtual communities. But how has social media itself aided the development of the tourism product of Jamaica? The fact that persons everywhere in the world are able to see and visualize our beautiful country wherever they are is essential to the development of the tourism product. Moreover, the fact that social media is being utilized like never before to exchange and share ideas opens avenues for the image of Jamaica to be shared globally. Jamaica's tourism ministry's target audience as of 2022 is Africa and the Middle East. And in these countries, there are 384 million users and another 9.8 million users respectively who actively use social media. Without social media, the exhausting task of finding ways to reach those target audiences will be added to the list of tasks that our already overburdened parliament has to deal with. Furthermore, the fact that social media is being used in a way like never before breaks ground for the name of Jamaica to reach places that we could have only imagined. As I stated earlier in my speech, Jamaica's target audience for 2022 is Africa and the Middle East. Now, this is because these countries have been in the dark about Jamaica. This is not to say that the population of these countries didn't know that Jamaica exists, but rather that they wouldn't know the true beauty of the country. A 15-second TikTok, or just simply an influencer posting about their trip to the island, allows the viewer to conceptualize the true beauty of Jamaica more than any textbook can. By utilizing the opportunities presented to us by social media, we are thrusting the name of Jamaica out into the world for potential travelers to see. My final point is the fact that social media is integral to the marketing strategy of Jamaica's tourism departments to potential travelers. Panel, let us not lean on our own understanding of the situation for a while, but rather the understanding of those who are better versed in the aspect of tourism than any of us, the leaders of Jamaica's tourism department. Jamaica's tourism director in 2016, Paul Pennycook, has stated, and I quote, "Digital space provides a greater opportunity for us to reach, inspire, and engage travelers from new and emerging markets." He said this to add to the fact that social media platforms are more influential than they have ever been, playing an increasingly significant role in informing the travel decision. To add to that, the current Minister of Tourism, Honorable Edmund Bartlett, stated that social media networks like YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook are essential to the Jamaica Tourism Board's marketing strategy. The board uses multiple Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook accounts to connect with different audiences. Now, we'll take a look at the Visit Jamaica Now Twitter page. At the time when Mr. Bartlett made the speech in 2010, the Twitter account had almost 1,000 followers, but as of today, had over 40,000 followers. This account boasts a 4,000% increase since that time and goes to show how rapidly the number of social media users is growing. The account serves to advertise some of the most beautiful spots in Jamaica to visit, while also informing the platform's audience on the current affairs of the tourism sector of the country. With the social media platform's 250 million daily users, it makes it easier for the tourism department to promote and share content to their target audience and further thrust the development of the Jamaica tourism product. Did you know that 85% of millennials use social media to plan their vacations, with 34% of travelers booking a hotel because they saw it on social media? Social media opens avenues for interaction between companies and customers. Social media does not only allow people to see a view, but it also allows them to respond with their opinions and questions. Social media users, for example, can have their questions answered quickly, and brands can promote their business. And by promoting their business, they not only advertise the business, but urge travelers to visit the country, which in turn boosts the development of the tourism product of Jamaica. But whether or not social media has been advantageous to the development of the tourism product of Jamaica is indisputable. And side proposition, if you came here to try to debate or undermine the positive effects of social media on the tourism product of Jamaica, then I regret to inform you, but you have already lost. But we are here to debate whether or not the negative effects of social media on the tourism product of Jamaica outweigh the positives, and side opposition still firmly believes that they do not. And while side proposition may bring up the fact that the music of Jamaica is violent and may scare potential visitors, they would have failed at two things: understanding foreigners' thoughts on the music and how social media affects the music industry in Jamaica. But my second speaker will shut down this point while adding to why the opposition believes that social media has not done more harm than good to the tourism product of Jamaica. But if they do believe the negative information, social media offers more positive posts than negative. But for now, side opposition rests.
Thank you very much. That was Tequan Ellis of Cornwall College. And you would have heard from the other first speaker, Tiffany Simpson of Decarteret College. We will now invite our second speaker, Decarteret College, Anika Spencer. Good afternoon, Ms. Spencer. You may begin.
My first speaker has accurately and concisely stated, defined, and affirmatively highlighted factors supporting the moot. This House believes that social media has done more harm than good for the development of Jamaica's tourism product. Chairman, judges, coaches, and opponents, good afternoon. As expected, my opponent's first speaker has already attempted to convince us by reiterating the positive that follows social media in relation to the tourism sector of Jamaica. However, I am here to remind our opponents that our position as the proposition is not to deny the incontrovertible impact social media has had on the sector, but to prove that despite these positives, the overall contribution of the media has created a system of evident collateral damage towards the Jamaican sector. On October 8, 2022, an article was posted by Loop Jamaica News regarding a travel ban that had been imposed onto the country by the United States. The United Department of State issued a level 3 travel advisory for the island, which meant that the country's threat to travelers was so prominent that they were urged to reconsider their plans to visit. Citizens of the United States were encouraged to avoid the following parishes in Jamaica: Clarendon, Hanover, Kingston and St. Andrew, St. James, inclusive of the entire city of Montego Bay, St. Anne, St. Catherine, and Westmoreland, due to crime. They were urged only to go to the parish of Clarendon if they were traversing to the other parishes by the way of highway. The United States boasts both the third largest population in the world, standing at 325 million, and the third most social media users in the world. In an article posted by gov.uk, British nationals are warned of the high crime levels, particularly in and around certain areas of Kingston and Montego Bay. Gang violence and shootings are common, and while these incidents are generally confined to inner city neighborhoods, they have recently been prominent among tourists. The most common motive for attacks made on tourists is robbery. The article also states that despite mobile police, people are urged to take steps in protecting themselves due to the frequent acts of violence against these tourists. According to the article, criminals have targeted visiting British nationals and those returning to resettle permanently in Jamaica. Tourists are engaged or encouraged to seek advice from the Jamaica High Commission in London and the local Jamaican Information Service. These tips follow the lifting of several travel bans made by the British government against Jamaica due to heightened levels of crime. A news report done by Television Jamaica stated that the country was expected to lose an estimated amount of $50 million due to these travel bans that were imposed on us by the British government. Edmund Bartlett, the country's Minister of Tourism, stated that if the bans progressed past January 4, the country was in danger of an additional loss of funds. These countries are world powers with individual plethoras of social media influence, so it is undoubtedly inevitable that people will not hesitate to listen to the forewarning. Stepping out from the crowd, rebranding Jamaica's tourism product through sports and culture. This is the quoted title of a body of research done by Thelka Patrice White from the Eastern Illinois University. She believes that branding within a country that possesses the intention to maintain an adequate size advantage among competitors in the global marketplace is extremely crucial. The research then states that Jamaica had clear intentions to exponentially increase the number of tourists visiting the island through developing sports, Jamaican culture, and the image it displays to the rest of the world. The focus words in this article are rebranding and development. According to the Oxford Dictionary, rebranding speaks about the change of the image of a country, organization, or one of its products. This normally influences the overall perception of the company by the public by revitalizing the brand and making it appear more modern. Both words speak to the newfound improvement, and nothing needs improvement unless it has suffered some prominent amount of harm. In an article written by the Jamaica Tourism Management Systems, Edmund Bartlett was forced to defend Jamaica's tourism sector after tourist Kalina Coiler placed the country's tourism production on blast. Kalina entered the island on January 28, 2021. She tested positive for COVID-19 and was placed in isolation at Ocean Coral Spring Resort in Trelawney. Unfortunately for Jamaica's tourism products, Kalina was not pleased with her position of being quarantined based on the law of Jamaica's Ministry of Health, and so she took it upon herself to post on her personal Instagram account ranting about the situation. The story gained a massive amount of traction from being highlighted on a podcast by The Breakfast Club with a subscriber count of over 4 million individuals. These individuals have not only subscribers on their YouTube channel, but have a media outreach on other apps, including radio, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. The highlighted story gained over 200,000 views on their YouTube accounts. The Jamaica Gleaner stated that the Jamaican consulate in New York had been bombarded by almost 100% increase in calls sparked by Kalina's story, with at least one human trafficking organization expressing deep concern. Our calls went from 2,500 per day to between 4,000 and 5,000 per day. Consul in General New York, Alison Wilson, told the Gleaner Monday evening. In an article posted by the Jamaica Gleaner in June 2017, Honorable Edmund Bartlett states that the graphic details of crime in Jamaica can diminish the recent gains that have been made in the tourism sector in recent years. He states, and I quote, "No one wants to wake up and see a front page story in our newspaper stating Jamaica bleeds." Arguing that there needs to be a partnership between media and tourism, Bartlett said that the news, when put out, indeed has tremendous potential to influence the minds of customers within Jamaican tourism. This just further emphasizes the point that social media, in terms of Jamaica's tourism product, does more harm than good. I am confident that my final speaker will concretize my points and summarize our stance. I rest my case.
Thank you very much. And both arguments are quite strong. We're going to give our judges a few time to deliberate while our second speaker, Matthew White, joins us from Cornwall College.
Am I audible?
Go ahead, Matthew, you can. When you're ready, judges should be ready, but you can go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, all. It is evident that side proposition has no faith in our tourism industry, as they continuously try to find more and more evidence having not to do with emotion to prove that tourism is somehow on a steady decline. First of all, the issue of the travel ban that they talk about has nothing to do with social media first and foremost, but I won't speak on that very much because my third speaker addresses that perfectly in his speech. And we agree with the proposition when they talk about rebranding. Social media has everything to do with it. As my first speaker would have mentioned, such Twitter pages like Visit Jamaica Now, the Instagram page as well, and the several social media accounts have been integral in creating a beautiful and new picture of Jamaica to advertise to the entirety of the world. And their third unwarranted claim about social media somehow reporting the crime that led to the travel ban is a bit of a stretch. I'd like to extend to you as well that they have not outlined any of the explicit negatives that come from social media, but I'll go into my speech. Panel, a gracious and auspicious greeting. I welcome you to travel through the mindset of side opposition as we continue to prove the validity of our side of the house. Under the motion, social media has not done more harm than good for to the tourism product of Jamaica. As my first speaker would have mentioned, the advent of social media has been revolutionary for the Jamaican tourism product. Such initiatives as the Visit Jamaica Instagram page have raked in a lot of attention for the demographics of potentially profitable markets such as Africa and the Middle East. Before I get into the weighing of the negatives and overwhelming positives, I will give more context to the point of increased outreach. The Pew Research Center posits that 84% of Americans between the ages of 18 and 29 use social media. Outside proposition agrees with us. With the targeted use of social media, this huge market can be accessed in a way it could never before. Additionally, considering the algorithmic nature of social media platforms, it is easier to deliver promotional material to persons that are interested in visiting Jamaica, whilst avoiding exposing potential tourists to the negative aspects, though menial and infrequent, of Jamaican culture. The algorithm works thusly. If a person searches for affordable travel rates to Jamaica, the algorithm will predict that they will most likely want to see more of that type of content, and hence display prepackaged promotional material created by the Jamaica Tourist Board, TPDCO, or any other organization that had created content to advertise Jamaican tourism. Essentially, if you are looking for places to stay in Jamaica, your phone and the social media accounts will try to push these sorts of promotional materials on you, as opposed to negative material, because that's how algorithms work. I'd also like to just talk on the point very quickly that the positives do outweigh the negatives quantitatively in the social media platforms. It is clear that firstly, the so-called negative aspects of Jamaican culture that may dissuade tourists from visiting are not the dominant or prevailing culture in the society. Paraphrasing the words of Dr. Kerry Wallace, Executive Director of the Tourism Enhancement Fund, it is not that there is a crisis of crime or unruliness, but rather a crisis of overrepresentation and incessant exaggerating of this issue. Unlike traditional media, wherein a reporter or journalistic body may overemphasize the prevalence of an issue, social media provides a truer representation of the nation in that it simply represents recorded events, and being that the good actually does outweigh the bad quantitatively, it is seen more prominently. Mr. Speaker, I ask you, how often do you see a video of a group of teenage high school students dancing to the latest TikTok trend, as opposed to videos showing violent killings? How often do you see a video praising the deliciousness of a Jamaican dish, as opposed to landmark court cases, such as the Rashid Barron cocoa piece murder? It is disingenuous to compare these infrequent tragedies to the more constant flow of positive content coming out of social media. Lastly, I'd like to give some more attention to the fact that they have not explicitly pointed out what's in the social media, not a travel ban from the UK or America or something in the newspaper, but social media. What about social media is inherently negative. The only thing that I can think of is the beautiful portrayal of Jamaica. The trees, the sunlight, the streets, the breeze and lightness of the beaches. Are these the negative effects that they're talking about, Mr. Speaker? Next time proposition speaks to you, think of two things. Is what they're saying relating to the mood? How does it prove that social media causes more harm than good? Have they warranted it? Have they impacted it? The answer will always be no. Side of should rest for now, but we prompt you, we ask you to look into these speeches and find value. Thank you.
Passionate remarks from both teams. And just a reminder of what our motion is this afternoon. This House believes that social media has done more harm than good for the development of Jamaica's tourism product. You would have heard from both first and second speakers of Decarteret College and Cornwall College. Decarteret College is proposing the moot and Cornwall College is opposing the motion. Our adjudicators this afternoon, Ms. Tamika Bryce, attorney at law, Dominique Shaw, who's representing the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and also director at the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce, Ms. Nikisha Gray, lecturer at the University of the West Indies, and that's here on the Western campus. She's also a chartered accountant. We will now invite our third speakers, and we'll go over to Decarteret College. Mr. Jaden Hewitt will now spotlight Decarteret College.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we are. You may go ahead.
Good afternoon, Chairman, adjudicators, members of the opposition, ladies and gentlemen. Over the course of this discussion, my team has reasserted the motion that social media has done more harm than good for the development of Jamaica's tourism product. I would like to reform the definition given for tourism in the analogy of an atom. Similar to the tourism industry, atoms have different divisions: the protons, the neutrons, and the electrons. All are essential for its composition and play an integral role. When one is affected, like a domino, each particle will be influenced and changed accordingly. As my first speaker stated, tourism product is a composite unit consisting of various components, such as the physical, rural, or urban aspects, the culture, sports, or food. It is the belief of the opposition that social media does not contribute significant harm to Jamaica's tourism product. Well, I am here to tell you that while I applaud the opposition's valiant effort, there are flaws in their argument. The first negative speaker has attempted to highlight Jamaica's prominent media presence and its display of the real Jamaica. What is this true Jamaica you speak of? You speak of a tourism page having a social media following, a following that may lead to the continued stereotypes and stigmatization that are attached to the Caribbean brand. The second negative speaker has tried to tell you that my teammates and I lack faith within the tourism industry of Jamaica. However, it is not the lack of faith we're focusing on, but the harm that has disadvantaged Jamaica's tourism product. The mission statement of the JTB states to always position Destination Jamaica as a preeminent Caribbean tourist destination that delivers value for the people and government of Jamaica and the tourism industry stakeholders. While I can say I am in full agreement with this aim, the question I ask you is, how can we promote this idea of an ideal Jamaica to the world when for the most part, individuals are more content with the grandiose, salacious stories which pander to their emotions? If they could only see the Jamaica for what it is, an island of warmth, passionate people whose gastronomy, liquor, and landscape complement this passion, rather than through the eyes of a TikTok video or an Instagram post of sporadic, immoral gang violence or crime of opportunity. As my second speaker detailed, the rash upload of digital tabloids has led to a game of catch-up between official news and media and at-the-scene witnesses. These posts, from a biased point of view, tread oftentimes without fact-checking whether the story is credible or not. Ladies and gentlemen, tourism product in Jamaica may not be destroyed. It is damaged. As much as we refashion and paint over the cracks, like a damaged cup which may still be used, the fractures and gaps are still visible. Opponents, I've given the impression that social media has guided the way in which we promote our country. We will still maintain the notion that our tourism product has been impacted in so many ways, and this damage outweighs the good. Ladies and gentlemen, the proposition rests their case. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Third speaker, Kimberly Griffiths of Decarteret College. Decarteret College is in Mandeville and Cornwall College is in Montego Bay. We will now spotlight Cornwall College, Leon Jackson. Mr. Jackson, you can begin when you're ready. Third speaker.
Am I audible?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Good, good afternoon, panel and fellow debaters. Opposition has not accepted a single POI. Not only that, second speaker failed to stay on the mode. Opposition, you have gone over time multiple occasions. And third speaker has made the claim that a large social media followers may lead to the propagation of a negative stereotype that they don't define, but it is this stereotype that has produced that the talent is built on. Anyways, I'll continue on my speech. This House believes that social media has not done more harm than good to the tourism sector of Jamaica. Throughout this debate, the side opposition has proven you two things. One, social media has been beneficial to tourism. Two, the possible harm that social media may bring to tourism are both menial and greatly overshadowed by the overwhelming positives. We have preferred with justifiable evidence and logic that social media presence in the tourism sector opens avenues for greater profits as views and transform into book trips. We also explained thoroughly that the negatives that do exist, are of no consequence, as they are not highly promoted by social media and are generally infrequent, thereby making no real effect on the industry. Therefore, panel, we have satisfied our first burden, proving empirically that our side of the house is correct. However, opposition has gone further, exclaiming and analyzing side proposition and definitively proving they have failed at explaining how the alleged negatives of social media outweigh positives. Both my first speaker and my second speakers have noted that the negative side proposition claims that social media harbors are not entirely negative at all, but in some cases, actually beneficial to tourism sector. Dancehall music, dance trends, and the lifestyle of Jamaica's youth have grown to become extremely attractive in international space. Artists like artists like Skeng, who after collaborating with Nicki Minaj on the Little Miss remix, has achieved an annual listener count of 1,047,103 monthly on Spotify. As discussed before, this newfound attention and interest in the brand of Jamaica can only be beneficial. I rest my case. Wait, continue? Okay, panel, let's go a little easy on this side. Let us imagine that we made conscious to prevalence on content promoting crime. What, rest case? Rest case. We rest our case.
And a round of applause for both teams. I believe that both coaches did very, very, very well. Decarteret, Mr. McBean, am I pronouncing your name correct, sir? If you're there. So we have also Coach Margaret Craigie, who has been with us for some time. We've had a Cornwall College championship before, and Decarteret is joining us for the first time. I believe they should have before. So both very, very strong teams indeed. We have a trophy for the Western Trophy from Pier 1 Restaurant, Bar and Lounge. So the team from the West who has the highest score will receive a trophy from Pier 1. So we all want to acknowledge everyone for participating this year. While the teams prepare their rebuttals, I'm sure the judges have a very hard task. The research that was done, I noted there was a lot of quotes from some of our leaders at the Ministry of Tourism. So I know you did some research, you probably made some calls. This year I noticed you've gone into TPDCO, JTB, Ministry of Tourism. So congratulations to all the students on their research. Please prepare your rebuttals. Aidan. I believe you should be able to know. Welcome back. Two very passionate schools this afternoon. Just a reminder of our sponsors who we are truly grateful to: the Tourism Enhancement Fund, Deja All-Inclusive Resort, the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, JHTA, Royalton Luxury Resort, Chuck the Caribbean, Coral Cliff Gaming Lounge, Margaritaville Group, Origin Juices, Starbucks Jamaica, Pair One Restaurant and Bar Trophy. The 2022 National Tourism Debate is endorsed by the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and the JHTA. A reminder of our motion this afternoon: this House believes that social media has done more harm than good for the development of Jamaica's tourism products. And we're in our rebuttal stage. The rebuttal will begin with the opposing team, which is Cornwall College, and we're going to ask that Cornwall College be spotlighted as they present their rebuttal.
Hello again, everybody. Can I just get a confirmation on how long we have for this speech? Hello?
Yes, sir. Give me a second. What was your question, Mr. Wines?
How long do we have for the rebuttal?
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Both
Okay.
schools have
Thank
3
you.
minutes. Please go ahead.
I'd just like to start off first by reiterating one of the first things that my first speaker would have said. To win this debate, side proposition has to prove two things: that there are, or that negatives do exist in these social media platforms, and that these negatives outweigh the positives that do exist. And they have done neither of these things. First of all, in the first speaker's speech that was dominated by definitions that were generally accepted by the public and generally understood, she makes no definitions of negatives. She just claims that negatives do exist, and she doesn't go as far as that negatives outweigh the positives. She just acknowledges that they exist, which both sides of the house do. In fact, we had to go as far as to see what the negatives may or may not be. They may or may not be the propagation of crime in social media. They may or may not be violent killings or dangerous music. But we have explained how these are not actually entirely benefits or entirely negatives in and of themselves. There are more positive content being reached to the person that we need them to be reached to in social media as opposed to negative. Another point that side proposition makes with no warranty and no impact at all is this idea that social media users and the followers of these social media pages that the Jamaica Tourism Board and TPD Co establish are somehow when to propagate negatives to the social media platforms. And they don't mechanize that any at all. We're just supposed to believe that these negatives are going to exist and they're going to outweigh the positives. And I put it as to side proposition to explain these negatives. I won't go into any more of those points because it's the same question over and over again. Then they make this argument that these social media users are going to perpetuate this stereotype of Jamaica that they claim to be negative as well. But what is this stereotype that they're talking about? Is it the stereotype of beautiful sandy beaches, lovely people, comfortable villas and hotels? What is the stereotype and how is it not beneficial to the tourism product? They also speak about newspaper articles and the travel ban that may exist in America and the UK that ward off tourists from coming to Jamaica. But they do not explain how the travel ban has to do with social media, how articles in traditional media have to do with social media, or anything of the sort. They make no warrants whatsoever, and they do not make sufficient claims to support their points. I will emphasize to you again, we have proved to you that positives exist, and the positives outweigh the negatives. Keep that in your mind when you're judging, and remember to vote side opposition. Opposition rights for now.
Sorry, I was experiencing some technical difficulties. Okay, we will now move over to Decarteret College, Kimberly Griffiths, with her rebuttal. Thank you, Ms. Griffiths. You may go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Again, a pleasant afternoon to the chairman, judges, coaches, and our opponents. This house stands affirmative in supporting the moot. This house believes that social media has caused more harm than good for Jamaica's tourism product. Your first speaker continued to bury himself with the redundant points that were not at all concrete in supporting his claim. He first stated that persons everywhere in the world have access to the image of Jamaica. First speaker, I agree with you. This image that they have access to proves to not always be positive and brings forth a plethora of people and press. It seems my opponents failed to listen to my speech as I outlined where it was stated that our Honorable Tourism Minister specified that graphic details relating to crime through social media platforms has the ability to diminish recent gains made in the tourism sector. Your second speaker also suggested that we have failed to focus our speech on the aspect of harmful effects. However, it is important that I refer to my third speaker, who highlighted the impact of the domino effect that states that when one person is affected, then like a domino, each particle of the tourism sector will be influenced and affected. This includes aspects of rural tourism, food and drink, mountain tourism, sports tourism, and shopping tourism, all points in which our speech is outlined. You say that it is through tourism that we have been able to develop our economy. As stated by our first speaker, I wholeheartedly agree. However, over the years, damage has been done to our tourism products through the use of social media. As outlined in our moot, social media has done indeed more harm than good. Claiming that it has not completely destroyed our tourism industry, but has provided significant damage towards our products. Your speaker also asked us to refer to some of the stereotypes that we so failed to concretize. May I repeat my third speaker's points? Some of the stereotypes include: we only smoke weed, we are a country ruled by gangs, and we are carefree and lazy. These stereotypes indeed influence people to not want to contribute to our tourism sector or to make positive impacts within our tourism products. Opponents, chairman, judges, I rest my case.
Thank you very much, Decarteret College and Cornwall College. Congratulations to you both. There was a lot of work that was put in here, and congratulations to both coaches on a job well done. We will now create a breakout room for our judges to deliberate. We will pause for a short break.
Good job, Decarteret.
Thank you. Where is Jaden? I need this phone to be added.
Okay, all right. So do you want me to remove the other one or both can join?
Michelle, can you add me back to the breakout room? I'm trying to join.
Will do.
Jaden, we're about to get ready now for the judges to return to the meeting.
Okay, do you want me to go ahead and close the rooms? Or the room, rather?
Good afternoon, Jaden. Are you hearing me? Jaden?
Yes, I am. Are you hearing me, miss?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Can you just check in the breakout room now? I just wrapped up with the judges. I believe they're ready. So
Okay,
I
so I
believe.
closed the room, so they should be here in a few seconds.
All right, let me just.
Yeah, so the judges are back now.
Yeah, we're back.
I know it's never an easy task, judges. I know it's never, ever an easy task. So we were away for some time. Let me just welcome you back officially to match 2 of the National Tourism Debate 2022 competition. We have Decarteret in the proposing position, and we have Cornwall College in the opposing position. Our adjudicators this afternoon was Attorney at Law Tamika Bryce, Nikisha Gray, lecturer at the University of the West Indies here, Western Campus, and Dominique Shaw, director at the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce. And the motion that had our judges away for some time, this House believes that social media has done more harm than good for the development of Jamaica's tourism products. I will invite Attorney at Law Tamika Bryce to make the presentation of who our winners are today.
Good afternoon, teams. Good afternoon to our viewers, fellow judges, and chairman and the president. Sorry. We have come to the end of a very robust as well as entertaining debate. We will all agree that we were very impressed with the level of presentations being put forward this afternoon by both the government as well as the opposition. Very bright young persons who have posited strong, sound arguments. Well, just impressive and overall very appealing to one's cognitive. We will all walk away with a wealth of information. The judges have deliberated, scores were collated, and it would be remiss of us not to acknowledge how difficult of a task this was owing to how excellent the debaters were. We will start with the opposition. Cornwall College, as the opposition, their strengths, remarkable enunciation and pronunciation, and they had very good arguments, we must agree. On the weaknesses side, because with everything we have strengths and our weaknesses, we believe that the opposition had sufficient ammunition, for want of a better word, to argue against the government, irrespective of any negativity in the media. The Jamaican tourism product has remained astute. Hotels have remained fully booked. Introduction of new airlines or gateways rather, like for instance, Frontier, due to demand of the tourism product. We have even opened our third international airport due to the demand. New hotels being constructed. We're looking at Princess Resort for Hanover, which boasts 2,000 rooms for 2023, Rio Trelawney, and so forth. So we believe that they did a remarkable job. However, there is more that could have been explored. The government, the Decarteret, we will start with their strengths as well. The debaters' analysis was remarkable, very assertive, great research done. They enunciated the Honorable Minister Edward Bartlett, TPD, co-research, JCB, and so forth. Their weaknesses, we believe, poor time management, arguments could have been more explored. The methodological demolition of arguments as well could have been more explored. So now we have come to the meat of the matter. And our winner for this match with 928 points is Decarteret. Cornwall College, 814 points. I'm very sorry it has lost this match. But to look on the bright side, there are really no losers in this match. We all walk away, as I said before, with a wealth of information. I believe the opposition, which is Cornwall, did a remarkable job. So take a bow and feel proud of yourself as well. Thank you. I'm not sure if any of the judges have anything to add.
Yes. Well said, Tamika Bryce. I am not quite sure if any of our other judges have anything else that they'd like to add.
Right. I wanted to add a few things.
Okay, go ahead, Dominique.
Tourism is very important, I believe. And it's really, really good when I see young people research tourism. As stated by Judge Tamika Bryce, Cornwall, there are several listers out there that could state that tourism, social media do not affect, or what may be in social media do not affect the tourism numbers in Jamaica. As she stated, we have increased flights. Today we have 6 TUI airlines, aircraft coming into Montego Bay from different outlets in England, in the United Kingdom. For Christmas, their new routes opening up. So, and it will continue. And if you watch now, when the government announced 7 state of emergencies, and the state of emergency is now affecting 2 of the tourism capitals, 3, Montego Bay, Negril, and Kingston. And I'm sure that, there's not going to be a lot of cancellation because the people still want to visit this beautiful island called Jamaica. It was good effort by both teams. Decarteret College, I believe that they came prepared, ready to fight, and they did fight. And that's why they would have become the victor today.
Thank you, judges. Let's have a round of applause for everybody, please. And I believe that we all can go away as winners. As I say, we do have a Western trophy, so we will make note of Cornwall's points. Congratulations to both coaches on a job well done. We also want to just thank our sponsors one more time, the Tourism Enhancement Fund, Deja All-Inclusive Resort, the JHTA, Royalton Luxury Resort, Choco Caribbean, Coral Cliff Gaming Lounge, Margaritaville Group, Orange Juices, Starbucks, Jamaica. It has been wonderful. I'd like to thank our production team for their support, Jaden Hewitt, and also Darren Thorpe. I am Executive Director Michelle Tulloch. Thank you all to our judges and students. Have a good day.
You too.